Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of learning how to paint the seascape, or in other words, how I paint the seascape. I'm Hampson, and you're watching the last and final part. It's a bit of a longer video, so I won't waste time by adding more time to it in the beginning here. All I'll say is that I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get a lot of value from it. I'll see you on the other side. Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3, the last and final part to this 3-part series of how I paint the seascape of Bateau Bay Beach. So stoked that you've made it all the way to this part, and hopefully you make it all the way through this. I hope that you've gained so much value through all these things. And anyways, let's just get into this video. A bit of a longer part than the last 2, just to fit the last refinement parts in. So what I'm doing here is just showing you palette. It's just ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, a little bit of light red, and that's all I'm kind of using for different shades of that green. And so now I'm going in with that finer smaller round brush, going for those finer details. So you'd remember we've gone from large flats down to smaller flats, and now we're finally at the last size brush that I'm going to be using. It's just a smaller type of round. So the way that I'm using the paint handling on this one is the same way I've been doing it for the last couple ones, is that I'm thinking about the textures that I'm painting. I'm thinking about the marks that I want to leave, the trees that I want to communicate, especially in these last refinement sort of rounds as well, just showing broader sense of what these trees are supposed to look like. So this whole episode is just going to center around nice touch-ups of all these individual areas, and resetting up and bringing together all those previous layers into this one final amalgamation of all that work before. There's really not a whole lot more to really talk about. They're just the very final finished touches that I'm doing on this piece to just bring it all to life, really. Some people talk about how finishing the painting is probably the hardest part to actually do or execute on a painting. I'd have to agree for sure, because it's really hard to know when you're done completely and know when to put the paintbrush down. It's quite a skill that you learn to develop. I generally think about it as, okay, have I communicated what I wanted to communicate through this painting? Whether it be the sense of light, the scene that I want to paint, or the scene I want to bring forward to you guys. Has that all been communicated to the best of my abilities? Really is what you want to think about, and what I find really helpful to think about when I go about painting and when I go about these final touches, is to constantly be thinking about, okay, how am I going to improve upon everything to really bring home what it is about this painting that I really enjoy, and that I want my viewers to enjoy as well. And so when you think about it in terms like that, it makes it a whole lot easier to paint the scene, bring the scene to life, and know when to finish and put down your brush. Really is when you feel like you've done it to the best of your ability. Everything's done. I mean, you know, there's always going to be in the back of your head, is it really the best of my ability? I'm pretty sure I could do better than this. Yeah, you could, but that's the whole process of doing a painting after a painting after a painting. You know, is your next painting is going to be better than this one, because there's so many lessons within this painting that you just learn. For example, throughout this entire painting, I really took my time with it, and learnt a lot about the way I can put my lights in and play with those highlights and play with those shadows in a more unique and different way than I have in my previous landscape paintings or anything like that. I definitely feel like all the paintings that I've done prior to this have led up to this painting here, and being able to bring it all forward and bring it all into production. I think that's exactly what I've been able to do, is just acquire all my lessons from all these previous paintings and bring it all into this one here. I feel really proud about how it's all turned out. Setting up my palette to retouch up that water again. It's just that basic palette of titanium white, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of cadmium yellow. Bring forward those types of watercolors that I want to translate to you guys. So working furthest thing away, closest thing to me. Also, while I do that, I work darkest to light. So you can see me working furthest thing away, and I'm working in the dark. And I'm bringing that forward-ish, like inch by inch, sort of. Using lighter highlights this time around, just to re-emphasize exactly what it is that I want to translate in these final touch-ups, where I can utilize those highest highlights, or those lightest highlights, if you rather, and really bring forward to you guys the nice, refined, touched-up parts of the painting. I feel like there's a lot more I can refine in these final stages, especially with the water being the major focus of the scene. There's a lot more in these waves that I can not only refine but translate a whole lot easier, a whole lot better than what it was in the previous couple layers, but building upon everything I've mapped out in the previous layers as well. And also getting a lot finer with some of the highlights on the water as well, adding some nice bits of details and ripples and all that good stuff that you see in the water. Really helps to translate exactly what sort of surface you're looking at. Getting a lot more finer in the way that I'm detailing out these waves and their forms, especially in their shadows, and taking them away from that blockiness of the long flat sort of stroke, and into a more refined detailed look of the long round. Adding those nice little bit of highlights to add a bit more definition to the areas that I want to re-emphasize of the painting, and bring forward and bring more attention to, is definitely one of the key aspects of this whole stage. Is really refining what your viewer what you want your viewer to have a real good long look at, and what you want your viewer to remember about the painting as well. So for me, in this painting, what I want people to remember and feel from this painting is just a real nice sense of the beautiful scenery that is Bateau Bay Beach, and the beautiful tranquility that I get from going to that beach, especially in the morning, with such beautiful light falling all over the beach. Like I said in previous videos, this is a beach that I absolutely love, and the whole thought process behind this whole entire painting is I just want to translate this beautiful beach and its feel that it gives to me for everybody else that's never seen this beach before, never been to this beach before. But yeah, the whole process is just based around just bringing forward that feeling of the that beautiful morning sea breeze and beautiful morning air and light forward from my painting, so that, you know, even if you're not there or never been to this beach before, you can really get a sense of tranquility and peacefulness from this scene as the waves just lap across the where the sand meets the water. Still, I'm not, you know, in this final stage, I don't want to change too much of what I've already built upon in the previous layers. That's not what this stage is about. This stage is just about refining. So you just want to refine on what you have already put down. Otherwise, a lot of the paint layers underneath it can start to come forward, and you can see that in the painting. So you don't want to be doing any major reworks of the painting, that's for sure. Especially not in this late in the game. You see me coming in here with that fine brush again, touching up some of that foaminess of the waves, trying to bring their forms into complete finalization, taking them away from that blockiness that they were from the flats, from the flat brushes, and putting them now into a more refined, more detailed state, so that in a little bit I can add those complete highlights, those whitest whites. And still bouncing around this whole bottom half of the painting here as well, trying to get that sand to look nice and wet but still nice and vibrant at the same time. I kind of had a little bit of a struggle with this. I kept having to walk away and look at it from about 10 meters back, or more 20 meters back, 10 meters, and then 7 feet, and just going between those distances, looking at it from far away to closest to far away again, and just trying to, squint my eyes at it and look at it in all these different ways so that I could see what's working, what isn't working, what can I do to make it work more. And here you can finally see me come in with some of my highest highlights now, bringing in those titanium whites in a second, but just touching up some of these mid-tones while I'm doing that. But yeah, bringing in these final highlights is probably the most exciting part of this painting process. Like, just right there, damn, nice, there it is. Yeah, it's just exciting times for me to watch this, even back on record, and I did it. It's exciting to see that painting finally get that breath of life into it with those highlights, get those forms all settled into it so that you can see exactly what's happening, where that light is, exactly where that light's hitting, what I want you to be looking at, what I want you to remember about the painting, all these different aspects coming into play here. It's just really, really exciting to see all that happening all at once. All the while, I'm still thinking about touching up form, thinking about refining different areas of the waves, seeing what's working, seeing what's not, standing heaps far back, squinting my eyes, doing all these nice little techniques to help me see the form a little bit better. Trying to get down into this wet sand again. This is probably wet sand, which is probably the biggest hurdle in this last part of the painting for me. Just trying to get that looking realistic enough where I was happy with it, because I'm not photorealism. I'm more representational than I am photorealism. Still trying to touch in some of those blues that you see in the sky. Trying to put those into the highlights of the waves as well, so that you can see that reflection of the morning sky in the waves as well as you can see on the wet sand. There's a little bit of the pooling of the water there where it reflects the sky as well, so I'm trying to capture that blue in there as well. So yeah, it's really interesting to play with those things, and then step a bit further away and having a look at how they're sitting with each other as well. There was this area here where there was a lot of the sand was caught up in the wave as well, and so it wasn't just this nice white foam of the wave, it was more the foam of the wave, but it's completely filled up with all the sand, and a little bit of the light was hitting it, so it was really interesting to paint that, having the light hit the sand part of the water carrying all that sand, so it kind of turned out more golden than it did that nice frothy sort of foam white that we're used to seeing on the waves. How I'm adding these little details, what I'm thinking about is not only just the source photo, but again, when I'm walking backwards, when I stand far away from the painting, I'm looking at it in a way like, okay, what's going to matter from this distance that helps bring the painting into a whole and bring forward exactly what I want to emphasize and what I want to show an audience in this painting. So what is it about this distance that I can put in and just immediately see it from far away and know, yep, I see what that is and I know what that is, and that's helping bring a sense of realism to this representational painting, because I'm not photo realism, obviously. But yeah, that's exactly what that's what I'm thinking about when I'm looking at these little touch-ups. So not only playing around with the reference photo is a good idea, but also looking at your painting as a whole and thinking about, okay, what do I need here in this area or this area to emphasize what it is I want to bring forward. It's fun to add these little bits of highlights in the back of these waves here, adding those nice bright titanium white, so you can see those waves sort of spit out on top of those rocks there as well, or even the wave as it crashes on itself out the back on that sort of reef. Yeah, it was really cool. This is the exciting part of the painting for me, for sure. Yeah, here you can see me add speckles and flakes of that foam that spits off of that water. Alright, coming back into this tree section here again. Yep, I'm just oiling it out like I've done before. You've seen me do that before in previous episodes. I'm just oiling this one out again, just so that I've got that nice slick surface to work with, and so that I can see those colors that it's supposed to be, because I've let that part dry out for a number of days now before working on it again. So I'm just re-wetting this so I can see what those real colors are, so I can really work within those color and tonal values. You can see on this very, very final stage that I'm not reworking any of the forms. I'm just really adding on to them and adding in those nice highlights. And you can see how those nice highlights really bring that whole tree line into a real pop, not only form but color as well. It sort of really emphasizes its three-dimensional feel, and you can really feel those. Well, how I feel is I really feel those trees popping out of those bushes right now. Looking at this, watching it back, actually, it's really cool. Seeing it all come together in that sped up motion like this. Yeah, it's really cool. Really bizarre feeling to watch your painting come to life in a sped up version that I'm watching right now. Really crazy. So now all I want to do is add in little pops to these trees that you can see that just stick out of these darkness that I haven't, just stick out of the shadow that I have. So now what I want to do is just add in a bunch of these trees, just little bits, pieces that you can see in my photo reference, is that I can just see a bunch of these little tree trunks poking through. So I just want to bring those forward so you guys can all see that as well, and really emphasize those whole forms that is trees here, and you can just genuinely see them all, and that you can see them through the shadows there. It's really cool. I feel like it adds another depth to the final process and adds a nice little bit of a final mark. Other than that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this entire series. If you did, or if you're just joining us now, I encourage you to go back and have a look at where I came from and how it is now. And I hope that I've been able to provide a lot of value for everybody throughout this entire series. I hope that a lot of painters, a lot of artists are able to take away a lot of value from this series and able to implement it into their own paintings. Again, I just wanted to say thank you very much. I'll see you in the next episode.
The rings are ringed out, burn out, cave in, blackened to dark out. I'm mixed now, fleshed out. There's light with no heat. We cooled out, it's cool out. Life is precious. We found out.
If you did enjoy it, leave a like, hit subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.